And I'm just going to slip over quickly to chapter 15, verse 14, is one of the blessings that comes when they do come together, and when we do receive both the scriptures from the Old World and the New World, is where we come to begin to understand the covenant and who we are as recipients of that covenant. How Lehi's seed could find out after all these generations about their connection with the Lord and with the covenant, and any of the other lost house of Israel. But great blessings.
Well, you probably should take us into 14 with the other half of this great view of God's plan in the last days. Well, do you want to? Am I jumping too fast?
Our time is going quickly. I certainly would agree. But the plain and precious parts, taken from the Bible, it came forth in its purity. But what does that mean? I mean, what can we identify? Can we identify any plain and precious parts that have been taken, that have been restored through the Book of Mormon and the restoration and so forth? Can you detail those? Can we detail those?
Well, I think, obviously we're Latter-day Saints, speaking from an LDS restoration perspective, but when we look at the development of traditional Christianity, Latter-day Saints would say things that seem to go first, so to speak, are the things that are most important to us. The nature of God,
who God is,
plan of salvation, our relationship to God,
covenants, family, marriage,
temple ordinances, the nature of life in general, and why are we here, right? Yeah, and the reality of Satan. And so when those things become lost or partially corrupted, then it impacts someone's ability to understand.
And hence the reason, the purpose for the Book of Mormon, and the Doctrine and Covenants and Latter-day Prophets, to bring all of that back that was once lost.
Right. Which Nephi sees will happen.
He does. Okay, Keith, we can now move ahead.
We're chomping at the bit here.
No, I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're moving us along. Chapter 14 in particular. Keith, is there anything in particular that you wanted to mention there?
Chapter 14 now kind of almost spins this perspective that Nephi took in chapter 13 of a great and abominable church, and now he says there are saved two churches only. And if the casual reader isn't careful, they will deduce from this that there's a church of the devil and there's a church of God, and there's nothing in between. And I think we need to carefully look at this description in chapter 14 as to what this second church is, or the church of the Lamb of God.
Yes, good.
Verse 12 is a good description of it. And it came to pass that I beheld the church, the Lamb of God, and its numbers were few, because of the wickedness and abominations of the whore, who sat upon many waters.
It's a strong word, whore, isn't it?
It's the antithesis of everything that is God and good.
Yeah, without being authorized. There's a lot of dimensions to that. Excuse me, Camille.
Nevertheless, I beheld that the church of the Lamb, who were the saints of God, were also upon all the face of the earth. I think that's an interesting description. And their dominions upon the face of the earth were small, because of the wickedness of the great whore whom I saw.
A couple of comments that come to my mind. One is we have this image of the whore, sometimes referred to as the mother of abomination, sometimes given kind of this code name Babylon. It shows up in the book of Revelation clearly, and Nephi getting similar using similar language here as he expresses his vision. Another thought, as you read, saints are upon the whole earth, but they're few in number. But I was going to say that the nature of this literature, the nature of the Revelation, I suppose that's recorded for us as literature, is kind of show the two extremes. The Church of God in its purity, and the Church of the Devil in its most evil and abominable form. And as Keith was saying, those are the extremes, but there are people both we could say in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who don't honor their covenants and live a chaste and worthy life, who aren't going to be classified as part of the Church of the Lamb of God. And there are great people of great faith in other traditions who are living as best they know how and enjoying the light of Christ in their lives, who hopefully we expect will be brought to a fuller dimension and understanding of the truth and be part of the Lamb of God.
Oh, I like the way you said that.
So,
Thank you.
The latter part of chapter 14, we really have John the Revelator described here, don't we? Where does that begin? Verse 19? Or 18 and 19?
Yeah, 18.
And it came to pass that the angel spake unto me, saying, Look. And I looked and beheld a man, and he was dressed in a white robe. And the angel said unto me, Behold, one of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Behold, he shall see and write the remainder of these things, yea, and also many things which have been. So where do we find that record today?
Well, it's the book of Revelation, the great apocalypse, as we were saying. And what's interesting to me here is that Nephi, John, Enoch, lots of other people, Moses, have seen the vision to the end of the mortal history of the earth. But in this case, Nephi said, I'm going to show you this, but you don't get to write it all down because somebody else has been foreordained already. There's a mission for somebody else. And what's the lesson?
Well, just looking at our prophets even that we've had upon the earth in this last dispensation, they seem to each have had a particular mission to perform. And they don't often ever impinge on each other's missions either.
It's like a stewardship.
They have a calling, a stewardship.
But there's something in there about how they complement each other, but also two or more witnesses that are there. And you get the brother of Jared later on, or in the book of Ether, that makes comment again that's saying that when we get his record, that we can better understand all of these others as well, that they work together.
How did the brothers do as they listened to Nephi and Lehi talk about the visions of the tree of life? Did they pick it up right away? Silly question.
Well, I mean, if you take Nephi's statement in verse 4, he's really unhappy because of the hardness of the hearts of his brothers. 15:4. So.
And that burning question in verse 8 that he asks them, have ye inquired of the Lord? And the idea that their answer, we have not, for the Lord maketh no such thing known unto us.
The Lord doesn't speak to me.
Yeah, and I won't ask until he speaks, and I have a hard heart, and I'm not ready to open it up to understand and to learn or to obey, to be able to understand.
So it's interesting, they shift the burden of responsibility to the Lord. They've prejudged that God won't talk to them. But Nephi says, you haven't even asked. You haven't shown your desire. You haven't exercised faith. Because he knows, based on what he's just had, experienced in his life, if you do ask in faith, those things will be made known to you.
And these verses right here, verses 8 and 9 and through 12, or through 11, really tell us some of the principles of receiving revelation in our own lives. And I wish we had more time to talk about those, but perhaps we can read 1 Nephi 15, 8 through 11, and gain that for ourselves as we consider how to gain revelation in our lives. Thank you.